This interview is for information only and should not be considered as investment advice or a recommendation to buy shares in the company featured. Welcome to this Stock Box interview. Hello and welcome to the Research Talks from Stockbox with Alan Green. So Alan, how are you feeling? It wasn't to be, was it, on Sunday?
It wasn't to me, Mark. It was a fantastic performance by a very plucky set of young players who were amazing. I mean, they really were superb. They conducted themselves impeccably throughout the tournament, and I thought it was a great spectacle. And Italy were just too well. Actually, they weren't too strong for them because they couldn't beat England in normal time or extra time to come to that. So it went to penalties. England's old nemesis, and of course, there we were. You know, we succumbed again. But I'm disgusted with all the with some of the outbursts that we've seen on social media. It's just been appalling. It really has been. And I just hope that those perpetrators can be brought to justice, because I think our lads across the board did a fantastic job.
Yeah, it was a good game. I enjoyed it. I'm not a football fan, but I did go down to the local bar, which had other Brits there, but they were all very well behaved. I think there must be expats, and watched it at the Peanut Bar. That's what it was called, the Peanut Bar.
The Peanut Bar, brilliant!
What a good name! sounds like a junior resource license area name, doesn't it?
It does indeed. Yes, you can imagine that being somewhere out in Botswana or DRC. You know, the Peanut Bar. Well, of course. Why would it be called anything else?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. But we enjoyed our evening. That's for sure. Anyway, and fair play for getting to the final. You know, it's never happened in my lifetime, and to be fair to you had faith right from the start. So hopefully the World Cup next year is when England get their chance again. Okay, so we're going to talk to us today about the investment case for Coinsilium and Orphan. So over to you.
Indeed. Okay, so let's start with Coinsilium, and of course, viewers following and listeners following the channel will know that, of course, I interviewed the CEO Eddie Travia earlier this week, and very nice fellow he was too, and an absolutely fascinating character, and just a wealth of information on NFTs. And the interview, of course, is out there. If you just go to the Brand UK website the Novuscom's website, go to the Coinsilium page, you'll see the link there, or of course you'll find it on YouTube. So anyway, Coinsilium are an Aquis and OTC venture market listed stock, currently trading at 10 and 3/4 p. That gives it a market cap of 18.7 million. Shares, of course, as we know, spectacularly traded as high as 37p intraday back in March this year, but they've come back since then. But are making progress after a chunky raise a few weeks ago to take the company forward. Coincidentally, just a bit of history. They were the first ever IPO on the Aquis market, or the first ever coin IPO on the Aquis market back in 2015, and they've evolved since then. I'm not going to go into the history. In fact, if you watch the interview, you'll see Eddie Travia relate an awful lot of the industry and the evolution of the company during that time. But they moved to Gibraltar last year. And based in Gibraltar, they have had connections with they had connections with Gibraltar a few years prior to that, but they were attracted to Gibraltar because of the very proactive stance by the Gibraltar government on providing facilities for the blockchain companies, and they've created, or the Gibraltar government have created a DLT license, distributed ledger technology license. It was the first in the world, and it basically is a set of principles by which companies should operate. They're not hard law. It's not hard and fast as such, because obviously it's an evolving market. It's a burgeoning market in many ways. So they created this environment for blockchain companies to to operate in. And Coinsilium, of course, is based there now, along with the joint venture between Indorse and Coinsilium, which is, of course, the Nifty Labs offering. So the company has set up there to undertake a number of projects in the decentralized finance space, decentralized finance, open finance, and crypto finance opportunities, and they're looking at a number of projects. And of course, we've spoken previously about the Gibraltar crypto postage stamp limited edition. I've got my NFT sitting here. I know you have too, Mark, and we've got our actual stamps as well. But that's just a very, very small part of the offering from Coinsilium. So the company raised, as I said, 1.15 million at 7.5p. Also offered warrants to investors at that point to raise funds to invest into developing these projects. And the key project they're working on, which really is going to spawn so many other opportunities, is the new NFT marketplace for the Web 3.0. And I've spoken to Malcolm, spoken to Eddie, and they've described the marketplace at the moment as being at the equivalent of the dial-up internet. I don't know if you can think that far back, but the NFT evolution in terms of its functionality and everything else is very early stage. So they're developing the next opportunity, and this will be a platform that will offer a series of opportunities at in a sense where you can, as I've done previously, you can white label a product or system. Sellers of goods and opportunities and other assets can set up shop using the platform as a white label. This is the idea behind it, but it's going to evolve. It's going to go through a number of phases as it reaches the marketplace. And of course, Eddie sort of outlined this in the interview that I undertook with him. And of course, through the RSK network, they've developed an EVM compatible bridge, which will enable smart contracting with the Bitcoin. Of course, all smart contracts at the moment take place with Ethereum, but this is pretty unique in that it will offer bridging with Bitcoin, which means you can buy your NFTs using Bitcoin directly through whichever platform you're using. So that's the most recent move forward. I should say that in the most recent update on the cryptocurrency treasury, they had crypto assets across a wide range of coins, including Bitcoin, worth 3.2 million. We've not had an update on that, but that may have moved a bit in line with of course, the fall in Bitcoin. But nonetheless, that's not really what the business is about. So it's just worth bearing that in mind. And I think that has also accounted as well for the recent fallback in the price before the fundraise, and of course before the recent increase in the share price that we've seen. So the most recent development from the group is that they've launched NFT Vision Hack, and this is what Eddie explained on the interview I did with him, and this is. It's a global hackathon bringing together companies and organizations from all over the world to participate in development and in developing assets and creating business opportunities. Already the participants involved the Gibraltar government, particularly, of course, the NFT platform Rarible, which is probably the biggest NFT marketplace at the moment. Also, Circle, which basically launched the USDC, which is the stable coin. It launched with Coinbase. The storage service, the decentralized storage service facility IPFS, is also involved in a partnership with the NFT Vision Hack 2, and of course the IPFS is where most of the NFTs are stored. Also involved are Times of India, who are a shareholder, of course, in Endorse, and Times of India have already provided a tremendous amount of media support for the hackathon, including a front page item on the Times of India, which of course is the largest English-speaking newspaper in India. There's a $68,000 prize, and of course that's in stablecoin, the USDC stablecoin, and that will be shared out at the end of the hackathon. And as Eddie has stated, that we're seeing a number of partnerships and opportunities already developing from the hackathon, and that's what happens is you get all the best minds together. From that, new ideas emerge, and of course the market takes the next step in its evolution and development. Of course, what we've spoken about NFTs, we now understand what NFTs are. We've got a good understanding of those. But I think what was particularly fascinating is that is what's going to come. And of course, what's particularly exciting is that all these assets at the moment are in the future, but the upcoming marketplace launched by Coinsilium is very likely to be underpinning a lot of this new development, which makes it particularly exciting. For example, I mean, fashion brands are launching across NFTs across the platforms. Gucci, for example, have launched virtual shoes, and how you use virtual shoes is still a mystery to me. But
put them on your virtual Barbie doll, Alan.
Put them on the virtual Barbie doll, or your Ken, depending on depending on what your avatar is out there. I guess you can. But anyway, that's one element, and of course we've spoken before about the burgeoning sectors in gaming and of course esports, and NFTs could. There's a lot of overlap with the sector, and of course we're going to see NFTs become a kind of native currency within esports and gaming, and of course assets that are either used for prizes or shared across. But it's I think the outlook into other sectors that is particularly fascinating, because of course we're here talking. We're all traders, we're investors, so we are trading in the markets, and we're trading through conventional systems or conventional stock trading systems and trading instruments accordingly. But there is really the potential for the NFT to become an asset in the digital trading arena. So it could become an asset across the fintech sector generally, insurance or e-insurance, and stocks and financial instruments. And of course, as we know, it's all blockchain based, so it creates that immutable line of code. So any transaction of stock that's held virtually, it would be, you could see the entire infrastructure supporting trading, stock markets, stock exchanges around the world changing in order to facilitate NFTs. That's some way away, because that will require a huge investment. But a government somewhere is going to take the first step down that road. It could very well be Gibraltar even. I mean, we don't know. But the first steps will be taken. And of course, when we get there, it's going to be huge. It's going to be a part of everyday life. So I think that's what's particularly exciting. And, the fact that Coinsilium and Endorse joint venture Nifty Labs is going to be instrumental in this. I think, you look at the market cap of where Coinsilium is at the moment at 18.7 million, it's almost derisory, because if you're creating a virtually a new ecosystem in the world that will support all this ongoing functionality, how can you place value on that? It's huge.
Indeed. And of course, Monday is an exciting day. The NFT packs can be opened, can't they? The Gibraltar crypto stamp.
They can indeed. I've got them in my Wax wallet, so I'll be. I'm looking forward to that and seeing what happens. Whether I've got a mythic rare in my collection or.
If you've got a mythic rare, Alan, you will be a very popular man.
I will. Well, yes. I mean, all offers duly considered, of course. But
Indeed, indeed,
yeah.
indeed. It's probably worth more than your Ducati that you were thinking of selling.
Well, that's still up for sale. So if you want to buy the Ducati 996, that that is still up for sale on Car and Classic. In fact, there's an auction at the moment. It closes next Wednesday. But anyway, that's
Yeah,
that's aside. But no, I think that's the really exciting aspect of this evolution of the NFT marketplace, and the fact that the Nifty Labs joint venture is going to be an integral part of this, and could end up underpinning a lot of the transacting that is done across all these different markets. It's huge.
yeah, indeed. It's a very interesting point for Coinsilium with the latest finals that came out the other day as well. Some nice, interesting things looking in there. People should always read it. I think even though it's a huge document, it's a good read. And yeah, there's NFT hackathon. Yeah, mixing with the big boys there. It looks like.
It is, yeah. Actually, it's a good point that you picked up on the finals. That it's worth noting that, of course, in the year to December, the company came in with a gain of 661,000 against a loss of 106,000 previously, and a gain per share of 0.218p against a loss of 0.19p previously. So that's a really strong financial performance. But the fact is now they've just raised 1.15 million at 7.5p, as we know, and it's I think we're set for a very exciting second half of the year.
Yeah, indeed. Okay, excellent. Okay, we're moving on. We've got Open Orphan next.
Open Orphan, indeed. Well, I've spoken about Open Orphan several times previously, but I'm a shareholder in this company too. So I'm also a shareholder in Coinsilium too. So I just want to make that clear. Open Orphan is it's a company that provides contract research and also undertakes human challenge trials and research into drugs and diseases, and of course is very much at the forefront of COVID testing and a COVID challenge. It's run by Carl Friel, who's an Irish entrepreneur, and he has a very distinguished board operating with him. Carl Friel owns just under 7%, up to yesterday when he announced that he and his co-director Professor Brendan Buckley were both buying shares, and Carl spent another £300,000 of his own hard-earned money and took his stake up in the company to just on 7%. So he's very committed, and yeah, as we've spoken before, I think when you have a director that has skin in the game like that, it's very much a key point for me if I'm looking at whether to buy or sell a stock. So Open Orphan has evolved over the past few years. It's from a reverse takeover in 2019 into Venn Life Sciences. The company then acquired a British company called HVivo at the start of last year, and HVivo it owns a quarantine facility in East London at the Queen Mary Hospital, and it has when Open Orphan acquired the HVivo and the quarantine facility, there were 24 quarantine beds, which made it the largest quarantine centre in Northern Europe. It increased that to a further 19 beds by converting a nearby hotel, and also set up another department in Manchester. And the company have made all the headlines. They've been across all the major news channels, Sky, BBC, and so on, and all the major newspapers on the basis of the COVID trials that they're undertaking, where volunteers go in, they're given a mild version of the drug, and of course there is how they respond to treatment and all the rest of it has very much helped push forward the understanding of the drug and how of the disease and how it works, and also how the drugs can be developed to fight and build immunity. So they've been very much at the forefront of that process throughout the COVID crisis. Meanwhile, Venn Life Sciences is, as I say, a contract research organization. Also has an office in the Netherlands too, in Breda, in the Netherlands. So the company generates cash through the quarantine facility, of course, which generates some 15-16 million per annum, and of course Venn Life Sciences, or Venn Open Orphan as it is now, is working for huge pharma companies like Ipsen Pharma and so on to undertake contract research work. In fact, yesterday, along with a raft of other announcements, the company announced it had won another €900,000 contract, and it also said that it's won a number of other contracts, but it doesn't generally tend to announce contract wins below €1 million. So that gives you some idea of the cash generative nature of the company. It also has a genomic health database, which is one of Europe's largest databases of rare disease, clinical and genomic data, and patient data within that database is worth around £3,000 per patient. So again, there's a huge store of value within the company there. So the company's core focus has been, of course, the quarantine and treatment centres, and that has progressed throughout the year. Carl Friel said at the outset that he expected the company to reach EBITDA profitability in Q4 last year. They have been, in fact, EBITDA positive throughout the first half of 2021, and they're well on the way to full year profitability for the current year, which is a huge endorsement of the business, but also highly significant because so many companies in the sector continue to run at losses for year on year. But Carl has turned it around and streamlined the entire business to bring it into line. One other element that is going to add a huge fillip to the balance sheet was the announcement yesterday that the company had spun off certain assets in the business into a separate IPO, and that is, of course, Poolbeg Pharma. Poolbeg has a number of clinical stage infectious disease assets that it's built and developed, and these were considered by Open Orphan, given where it's operating now, to be non-core. So they were spun off, and the company announced yesterday it successfully raised 25 million by placing new shares at 10p, which means Poolbeg will have a market cap of some 50 million at IPO, and of course that will underscore Open Orphan's stake quite dramatically and add further value to Open Orphan going forward. What's interesting, though, is the company, despite this progress, it's had a very strong year. The shares are currently trading at 25p, having traded as high as 48p on the year, gives it a market cap of 170 million. And if the company were listed on the Nasdaq, it would be worth getting on for twice that valuation. And whether or not that's under consideration is not for me to say. But I imagine at some stage it would have to be something the company will be considering. But a company that they undertook a joint venture with on the COVID testing front last year, that turns over about $30 million a year, is still loss making. Currently has a market capitalization of $534 million in the US, compared to Open Orphan's current market cap of 170 million sterling. So it's well behind Quotient. But Open Orphan has been profitable in EBITDA profitable in Q1 in the first half of this year. So I believe that at some stage investors into the sector will see the valuation gap and will probably get on board on the back of that. But certainly it's anyone that got in last year. I mean, I've held shares in the company since they were 5p, so I've had a very good run. But I just think there's an awful lot more to come in the company, given the level of activity and the different areas the company are involved in. So I think, given the recent pullback, I mean, it's just pulled back in line with the market really since the April high. I think at 25p, the shares offer great value for what we believe will be a very strong second half of the year.
Excellent. Do you think that the shine, the COVID shine, it's terrible, isn't it, to say that, but that kind of shine, or that hype is maybe waned a little bit, or do you still think it's very relevant?
I think it's extremely relevant because, as we've seen the Delta variant will no doubt have other variants. So the process of developing and refining the treatments, and also, of course, immunity eventually, a sort of human-based immune treatment. This is by going through the process of the COVID testing that the company, of course, discovers how to treat and stays ahead of the curve. Because, of course, this disease is evil and it will continue to evolve and change. But it's also important to note that it's not just the testing at the quarantine centres is also on for flu as well. There's an ongoing flu testing program, Flu V. There's an RSV testing program, and a whole raft of others. So whilst COVID, of course, is front and centre of everyone's thinking at the moment, it's very much just a part of the operations there. So the company isn't wholly reliant on that by any stretch of the imagination. It's just a small part of it. But of course, I think what's so significant there is the story, and the reason it got into the news is because, of course, the government awarded Open Orphan the 40 million contract, and then announced yesterday that it's to expand that contract again. So with the UK government support and looking forward into the future, most likely continued activity and continued ongoing growth and support. I don't expect this to end anytime soon. But again, to state the point that testing is also there for flu and the other respiratory diseases too.
Okay, great. Well, Alan Green, thank you very much for giving us the investment case there for Coinsilium and Open Orphan, and we'll catch up again in a week's time.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you for listening to this Stockbox interview. For more information, interviews and videos, visit our website at stockboxmedia.com or give us a follow on Twitter by searching @StockboxMedia.